Welcome to day 23. A little bit later today, I had the opportunity to grab a spot on the Seine along the wall around the river and spent the hour of sunset just slowly watching the sun go down on the Eiffel Tower. And as dusk started to emerge, the tower was starting to light up. And if you're in Paris, it may be worth knowing that every hour on the hour is the sparkling light show. So that came not too far after dusk. So a really fantastic experience and really just so appreciated being able to slow down, being able to be really present with that moment, really just knowing I wasn't headed anywhere. I was simply waiting for a natural process that occurs every single day and enjoying those around me who I knew were also enjoying the moment as well. I managed to find sort of a corner along the river where there wasn't too many people, and I was really grateful for that because it didn't feel like that jostling for position. In fact, I had lots of room around me, and it just made it extremely relaxing watching the many, many boats go by, with people doing their river cruises, their Seine cruises, and really looking at and noticing and being present with the tower itself. Lots of detail that I hadn't realized before. A deep appreciation of the architecture, the design, even though I have seen it my whole life in pictures and drawings. It is iconic. It is recognizable around the world. And yet, I think we simplify it down to its symbol almost. And so to really be almost in dialogue with it was such a unique privilege and such a wonderful moment. And really just watching the dusk emerge and the lights come on slowly. It's not like a switch is flickered, not like someone flips a switch. They fade up, or I suppose, and also noticing and learning that since 2019, the Eiffel Tower is back painted to sort of a warm yellowish brown. It doesn't sound that great when you describe it that way, but a very golden hue, so that even during the day it has that real kind of goldenness to it, and then at night with the lights on it, it looks even better. And just really felt connected in that moment, felt I could slow down and really be with this experience and let go of any expectations of what it may produce, of what I needed to accomplish out of it, which was nothing, and kind of forced me to slow down. I knew that I was there at least for an hour because I knew when the sun was setting, I wanted to get there a bit early, and really just got to enjoy it, got to slow down, got to really enjoy it. Got to be away from the traffic and the people enough that I could really, really enjoy it. And maybe I come away with a different relationship with the monument, with kind of a renewed enjoyment of the monument. It has asked me to reconsider it in a way in which before I sort of notice it. You notice it, of course, anywhere around town. You notice it. I have a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth for all of the bad souvenirs of Eiffel Towers they're trying to sell you on little pieces of material on the ground that quickly get whisked away when the police show up. But it did sort of feel like it had been cheapened as a signal, as a symbol, I suppose, that it kind of is on everything here and kind of on all of the kind of bad made in China magnets and t-shirts and all the stuff that I just don't like. And so it did become that opportunity to admire it, to look at it the way I would look at a piece of art in a gallery, to really look at the lines and the structure, noticing the elevators inside, which I always knew were sort of there, but didn't realize some were yellow, some were red. There is some unique detail along the bottom arch that is maybe nouveau art, maybe a little bit even almost floral looking, and it breaks up some of the hard lines, and even the tower itself is not as strictly angular as we might think it is. It feels like it's almost in three pieces to me. And yeah, who knew that I would come back and talk about the Eiffel Tower for as long as I have been. But I think it is a chance to find the simplicity, the joy in the simplicity. And I think, again, what I was reflecting on was the idea of how much people chase happiness, how much society is happy to sell us the idea that if we aren't happy, then we must be doing something wrong. And the other half of the time, they're telling us if we want to be happy, we need to buy their product. And people spend so much time chasing happiness. People will engage in shopping or romances or, waiting for that next job. Or they will also really kind of point that dependency of the happiness outwards, that I'd like to be happy, but I need you to do something different. I need you to act different, to be different. I need a circumstance to be different. And it becomes that representation of our happiness outside of us, our happiness being something that out there must change, and then we will be happy. And I think what I realize more and more is happiness is always going to be when the change comes inside. And sometimes the happiness comes not because someone changed their behavior, but because we've taken the right steps that we can accept their behavior. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily condoning their behavior, but we may stop losing sleep over it. We may have to make a difficult decision if somebody's engaging in a behavior that simply isn't acceptable to us. But the happiness comes when our expectations change, when our dependency on others to be the ones that will somehow bring us happiness starts to shift and it becomes back to us. And I suppose that can sound a little bit like you're responsible for your happiness. You have to do something different. And to some degree, maybe it is, but maybe what I would argue is it's less about needing to take some action, go on some crazy diet, go spend money on a new outfit, buy a new car, all of those sorts of things. But really, where we have that responsibility around our happiness is how are we going to just live in a complicated world with all sorts of other people that surround us? How do we live in relationship when we are inherently a very social species? How do we work in organizations where we may not always agree with leadership decisions? We may not always agree with things that we are supposed to do, that we are supposed to champion, we may not fully believe in. And sometimes our wisdom as a leader must decide between finding what we can believe in and what we can move forward. And other times it's significant enough that we can no longer stay with a particular organization because that mismatch is too large. We're simply out of sync or out of alignment enough with an organization that it is no longer tenable for us to stay there and to try and continue on because, again, we've realized that the organization isn't going to change, that we may have communicated feedback, we may have offered our opinion, we may disagree. We are always free to disagree in the boardroom and walk away in a united way. But some part of us may simply know that that we are out of alignment, that we simply can't support the direction, that simply we have a very different vision of where things should maybe be going. And again, I think I've seen people who bang their head against that brick wall, who are angry and disengaged and frustrated and start to become somewhat bitter when they keep hoping or expecting or insisting that change happen. And it's not going to happen because a decision has been made. Those who are in charge of making that decision are standing firm within their decision. They feel it is the best course forward. And we have to decide what we want to do in that case. And so, again, if we want happiness, and I use the term happiness somewhat loosely because I also would argue that happiness is a very ephemeral thing, that I think if we're trying to be happy all the time, I think we're going to find ourselves disappointed. I think we want a life of meaning, of satisfaction, of joy, of groundedness. And some days we'll be happy and some days we'll be less happy. A lot of the Jungian analysts that I've been reading lately really talk about that our purpose, and as we shift our lives to be more aligned with who we are, we do so finding more meaning, more purpose, more expansion within ourselves. But that doesn't always mean that that's going to translate into happiness on every day. That somehow, as we find ourselves, as we find new layers within ourselves, as we grow and align ourselves with who we are at a deeper level, that it can be a difficult journey. It can be a difficult place. And I think we need to be prepared to sit with that, to understand it, to know that it won't last forever, but still be willing to do that work because it is large, significant, transformative work. It is the process of shedding what no longer serves us. And that's seldom an instant decision. That's seldom a done in an afternoon kind of thing. It is something that we will tend to wrestle with for a while. It is something that we will push away. It is something that we will wish wasn't happening. And yet we also know not moving forward or not going through with a decision is no longer an option. We can't unsee it anymore. We know something within ourselves, and it's got us in our grip. It's got us in its grip. And until we're ready to step into the light and step into our true selves, that nagging feeling is going to still be there. It's going to linger, and it will continue to whisper for change in your life until such a time as you're ready to take action. And so it was a moment of happiness, but it was a moment of happiness in watching sunset because I really had no expectations. There was no need to text photos to 27 friends to go, look at me, look what I'm doing, look where I am. I didn't need validation. I didn't need approval. I simply could be with, and probably, in fact, would have wanted that more than to be texting with somebody back and forth, because that almost takes away from the experience. And I think we're not so good at spending that alone time with ourselves, at truly being with ourselves and feeling that happiness. This was very much a space of joy that was not a mood, that was not, this is so great. It was a very settled, very fulsome lightness and appreciation, and just feeling like I was in the right place at the right moment, that so many decisions in my life had led me here. And I was grateful for that. And I could simply enjoy it. I had no regrets in that moment. I had only more moments like that to look forward to as I work to find more alignment in my life, as I make decisions to better find those spaces, to have more of those moments. And while I have a huge number of different photos from my time here, some videos that I try and weave into these videos, this was kind of a long mental picture, and I will probably treasure that forever and have it forever. I think it became a very deeply embedded, memorable experience, and one of such fullness and aliveness. And as always, I wish that for everybody, because I know how many people are out there who are burnt out, who are struggling, who aren't struggling to pay the bills, but are struggling to figure out what comes next, why their life is the way it is, why they're not happy, and why everything feels routine or dull. And again, I would caution you against coming to France as an escapism, coming to France as a distraction for new and novelty. I think do the work first and take the vacation when you're ready to take the vacation, and you'll enjoy it that much more because you'll get to show up and be in that space of yourself. And that changes everything in the places that you'll go and the things that you'll do and the things that you'll experience. They become less about checking things off a list and gravitating towards what moves you, what is profound for you. Where do you feel a somatic sense of the history of a place? Where do you connect with a piece of art that just won't let you go, and you just keep looking at it from different angles and closer and further away. And that could be a painting or sculpture, or today a piece of architecture. I want that for you. I want your ability to find that path towards self, that ability to start tapping into that voice, to start knowing it is time for change, if that is what is coming up for you. It's time for some realignments. It's time for a life that reflects you and not simply the one that society has projected onto you or outlined for you. And this is your opportunity, and it is a extended process usually, but it is a process of, in the classic cliches of, shedding your skin, letting go of old selves and being ready for a newer self. And those newer selves are sometimes a little more fragile, a little more uncertain, but just like the foal, when the foal is born, shaky legs, but very quickly finds its feet and grows and becomes something really quite magnificent. So don't be afraid of what those whispers are for you. Don't be afraid of the possibility of this kind of experience, or whatever that experience is for you. Perhaps it's sitting in the most wonderful of symphonies. Perhaps it is going for a beautiful walk in a forest where you are completely immersed and almost lose a sense of self. I feel like I've had a few of those experiences here. It's the space to breathe. It's the space to realign your priorities into something that's meaningful for you. And the invitation is yours. The permission slip is signed. You have the ability to go forward, to find your own happiness, and stop waiting for others to change before you're going to let that happiness come. Because even if they do change, there's no guarantees that you will be happy. So thank you as always for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.